Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my second episode of Rowan Sports Lounge. I'm here with Stand X alumni Andrew Weber, current University of Kentucky cornerback. How are you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Appreciate you having me on, man. It's good seeing you again, man.
It's great seeing you as well. Um, I've obviously got an immediate question for you, and it's pretty obvious what I'm going to ask. How is Kentucky, and how is like football in general for you guys right now?
Yeah, we it's been good so far. Maybe for me talking, but it's been a little rough start for the team this year. A start that maybe was unexpected, but we're playing an SEC gauntlet schedule every week, and so we know the teams we've got to play. We've played Georgia, Ole Miss, South Carolina already, and those were some tough losses. But I think we actually have a really good team, and we have a lot of good coaches. So we just got to keep chipping away at it, and hopefully get a win this week against Texas at home. That'd be huge. It's a night game, so that'd be just keep grinding, man.
My Irish couldn't pull it off, but I think y'all could. That's all I'm saying. Honestly,
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say that Texas A&M, they're definitely a tough squad to beat, and they're actually they're proving themselves
No,
instead
no,
of
we
getting
play
knocked out.
Texas. We play Texas, not Texas
Okay,
A&M.
Texas,
Yeah,
Texas,
yeah,
yeah. Um, what do you like? What do you think of Archie Manning so far, at least this season? Like
yeah.
coming off of like defensive perspective.
Yeah, that's actually funny. I mean, we actually, I mean, today's Monday, so we go over the game plan and the other team's players and everything. So we were definitely going over his film today, just from a defensive back perspective. And I think the media is criticizing him a little too hard right now. Just everyone in college football. I think it takes some time to settle in as a QB, and playing the SEC is hard, and playing away games. I think he's a good QB. He's got a strong arm. Um, and he makes a lot of plays with his feet, so I think he just needs some time to settle down. And he's played pretty good the last couple of weeks. He played pretty good against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry this weekend. So yeah, I think he's a good player, and I think it's gonna take him a little time, but I think the talent's definitely there.
Yeah, honestly, I can totally agree with that. Like I don't understand how much media backlash you need, especially as a quarterback who's going into his first full season of actually starting for
Right.
their team.
Hmm.
Like obviously Manning had like quite a few snaps with Texas last year, especially with
Yeah.
Quinn Ewers under
Hmm.
center and all that sort of stuff. And there were
Yeah.
obviously times where he struggled to where Manning could come in and help, and he obviously had really good flashes, but it's just like when you're fully starting, you feel like you gotta like stay perfect, and it's really hard to do that, especially with that kind of consistency that he has.
Yeah. No, and I mean, with his name and him being the number one recruit out of high school in his class, I just think like expectations are extremely high, and Texas fans are passionate, just like all college football fans are, and so they want immediate like, oh, this guy has to be a Heisman candidate. They want those type of results, and I think that's maybe unrealistic, and I think people are seeing now once he's got a couple more weeks and his under his belt and he's settling in a little bit against SEC competition. I think he's gonna develop and be a good QB for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd say that the one critique I'd have for Manning himself is like he needs to like keep his cool, especially under like I'd say his worst part of his game is probably just like getting started in general. Like it's not hard for him to, finish out and all that sort of stuff. All right. So as I was saying, Andrew, before I got immediately cut off by some unknown thing happened. Definitely not Wi-Fi or anything like that. Um, like I was saying, the thing about Arch Manning is that he needs time to basically get settled in the first quarter because he does really well in like the second half of games and all that sort of stuff, but he has a rough time just getting started in general.
Hmm.
I feel like. And I want to know if you've seen any other quarterbacks with that sort of situation. Like they don't get like started defensively. Like they might not throw picks, but the completion percentage or the QBR is just not there at all, like it should be.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who some teams that don't start off too well or QBs and get hot at the end. Jeez, I want to say I maybe saw that with Joe Burrow in the beginning of his career. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean he's obviously a baller now and MVP type of guy. But I'm trying to think. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head. But yeah, I just feel like talking about Arch, he just needs some time to settle in. And I think he's doing that so far as the season goes on.
absolutely. Who like in practice, I'd say more or less in practice because I don't think you haven't seen the field, have you? At least for like starting games so far.
Mm-mm, no.
Who in practice was like the hardest? Who was the hardest receiver to guard in your first 2 years so far?
Yeah, I think Dane Key, if you know him, he was one of our top guys last year. He transferred to Nebraska this year, and he's having a super good year there with Dylan Raiola. He had a touchdown, maybe two touchdowns in that first game against Cincinnati at Arrowhead. And Nebraska's been having a good season so far. I think they got into the top 25 this week. So definitely him. Barryon Brown was one of the guys, just a speed demon. He played with us last year. Now he transferred to LSU, catching passes from Nussmeier this year. I mean, he's balling out. And then another one, Brandon White, if you know him, B White. He went to Muller actually. He was on the team last year, and he transferred to Hawaii, and he's I don't know if you ever watch any Hawaii games, but I've started to watch him at like midnight on Saturdays now to watch him play. That's one of my guys, and me and him would always kind of be in at the same time last year during practice when we went best on best, and whenever I'd have to guard him in the slot a lot, and man, he's fast and twitchy, and he can run some good routes. So probably him to be quite honest.
Yeah, the one time I used to watch quite a bit of like Mountain West games, specifically with like Wyoming. Honestly,
Hmm.
I always
Yeah,
saw Wyoming as like the underdogs of the Mountain West when it came to like their ball handling and all that sort of stuff, and how they're able to take control of like games
yeah,
in certain situations. I really like them, but Hawaii is definitely a close second. It's just I've mainly focused on like more ACC, try and see like can they have like a bigger come up with like especially with how competitive like each team can be in that conference because obviously people are downplaying the conference and it feels like a
yeah.
whole nother like Pac-12 situation where it's just like if you don't start getting success, you don't start getting money and all that sort of stuff, you're going to see
Hmm.
another depletion in a conference and sooner or later you're not going to have any with
Nah,
stuff
yeah.
like that happening.
I think I definitely agree with you. I think all of the, I guess you could say attention or everything's like, oh, it's just a hit or miss. But like, if you're not in it's a hit if you're in the SEC or the Big Ten now. Those are like the two main conferences, and anything else is, I guess, worse than that. But no, I think you're right. I think ACC doesn't get enough credit. I think they have a ton of good teams in the ACC. Pretty much every year, a ton of good head coaches, and so yeah, I still think the ACC is a prime conference. I just think maybe they haven't produced like they maybe did in the past recently, but and that's just because the SEC and the Big Ten I think are taking over with, and also with all the money and everything, bigger schools and everything have more money to pay the players and all that. So yeah, I think, and then Mountain West, I think that's a super solid conference, really good ball out there, and I just think yeah, they don't get as much attention I guess as the big Power 2 conferences now.
Yeah, I'd say like when it comes to like anything outside of the Power Four conferences, Mountain West definitely reigns supreme when it comes to FBS ball outside. But
Yeah.
and like I wouldn't count Independence because Notre it's I'm pretty sure it's just Notre Dame and I think it's New
What do you
Mexico.
being a Notre Dame fan, what do you think about Notre Dame not being in a conference? Like I remember Marcus Freeman talking last year. Like, do you think they need to be in a conference, or do you think it's all right with them being
I
independent still? Because some say they don't have to play a really tough SEC schedule or a really tough Big Ten schedule, and they schedule their own teams and they get those wins.
Yeah, I feel as if like either Notre like here's my theory. Like if Notre Dame because I started watching them back when they played in the ACC and when they had this like big rivalry with Clemson almost every single year when they were both always in the playoffs and all that sort of stuff. Mostly with like Ian Book and Trevor Lawrence going head to head and all that sort of stuff and that overtime throw back in 2020, I believe. Um what was surprising about that was like they have so many, they get so competitive when it comes to ACC rivalries, but when it comes to like the one or two, I think the other rival that they have that was like in the Pac-12 initially was Stanford, and I'm pretty sure USC.
Mhm.
Those were the two in the Pac-12. USC is now in the Big Ten, which is their biggest rival, but Stanford is also in the ACC. So what I'm thinking is either A, they might actually take a trip to the Big Ten because they're obviously a big business as well. I'd say that's probably more beneficial to them in general, right?
Right,
And like they also like have like this rivalry against Ohio State and all that sort of stuff. Obviously there's a bunch of like weird stuff that happens in those games, especially with like the 10 man on the field instead of
right.
which I thought was embarrassing in of
At the
itself.
end of the game, yeah. One of my
Um,
former teammates, Chip, he trained him. He was the guy who scored that touchdown for Ohio State. He played with us last year, but now he transferred to Toledo. If you remember him,
ooh, I believe so. Yeah, I was watching the game. I saw the touchdown score. I was just like, uh, there's no way that somebody was just that uncovered. And then I
right?
look at it, I was just like, you're kidding me. We have 10 people on the field.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, that genuinely sucked. If
yeah.
for us specifically.
Yeah,
Definitely not for him though.
right.
Um, but I'd say that Notre Dame either should switch back to the ACC or back to Big Ten because I just don't see them really getting like I'd say they're doing decent in the independents, but I don't see a point in them being there. I mean, they have so many rivalries and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. Go to one or the other conference so you can actually continue having those rivalries and actually being like put on because like conferences have their own social media teams. Like they should be able to like put on games for those rivalries, and Notre Dame should be one of those like posts. I feel like because it would get much more traction. It would probably be broadcasted a lot more considering that they would become an actual conference team. And I'd say they just get a lot more publicity, honestly.
mm. Yeah. I think. Um, I mean, the way I don't really have a strong opinion about it, besides that teams like us, Kentucky, we have to play a gauntlet of a schedule. I mean, now we have coming up, we have Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Vandy, Louisville. Like we have a gauntlet of a schedule. Obviously, Louisville's out of conference. That's our rivalry week. But I'm just saying, like, it's very understandable from the college football world of people criticizing their schedule because they'll go schedule. I know they schedule some tough teams, but they don't have to play that as tough as a conference schedule, and I think that upsets some people.
Yeah,
They yeah.
what were you saying actually? I'll let you
I
go
would
ahead.
say I think that some people just think, okay, they schedule their own games, so they have an easier way to the college football playoff almost every year than supposed to somebody in the SEC or in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I feel as if it's a little bit unfair, especially for a team like Notre Dame. I'd say the one thing about Kentucky though is like once you get a few wins under those like big teams and all that sort of stuff, you're like almost instantly ranked, and it's like harder to fall off of
Right.
like those rankings,
Yeah.
especially with somebody like Missouri. Like they lost, I'm pretty sure their first game against Alabama. Like it was a really close match, almost all the way to the end. I guarantee you they aren't really going to drop much. And I'm
No,
pretty
yeah,
sure they
no,
didn't drop
that's for
much.
sure. Every week in the SEC, you have a chance to get back
Um,
up in the rankings for sure because you're playing such high competition every week for sure, definitely.
I got a question for you about Notre Dame though, and it's a pretty controversial topic about what happened during the first 2 weeks with them in the rankings and all that sort of stuff. They lost by I'm pretty sure three against Miami, one against Texas A&M in overtime. What do you think? Like, do you think they should have still been ranked at the time, or do you think they should have been kicked out of the rankings after that?
Did they fall out? Did they fall out of the top 25 after losing to Miami and Texas A&M or no?
I believe they were 24. They were barely in.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think a loss for sure. I mean, it doesn't matter who you lose to. You're definitely going to go down unless you're losing to like Ohio State. who's number one. I think if you lose to anybody else, you're probably just going to go down in the rankings. And I just think, yeah, them losing to back-to-back games, I mean, they're going to go down just because people are like, oh, they can't win a game, whatever they want to say early in the season. So I think, yeah, I don't know if I agree with it. I wouldn't say I have too much of an opinion besides that if you lose, you're probably going to go down in the rankings.
Yeah, like in my personal opinion, I felt like they shouldn't have. They went against two pretty big powerhouses, especially with Carson Beck's Miami team
Right.
and
No,
like Texas
definitely.
A&M in general was just like really tough. They're both still undefeated, by the way.
Right.
So it really
Hmm.
goes to show how close they kept those games. And once you saw them like blowing out Purdue the next week and then Boise State, and then I'm pretty sure like and now they're like 3-2 now, and they're finally climbing back up the rankings. I'm pretty sure they're either 16th or 14th, or they were ranked 16th last week. Now they're ranked 14th, I'm pretty sure. But what I don't understand is why teams who, such as Cincinnati and all that sort of stuff, I don't
Hmm.
understand why teams like that take so long to get ranked. Especially like, I
Yeah.
felt as if like Cincinnati had a sort of like the entire organization of the NCAA just like had a grudge against Cincinnati football for the longest time. It's understandable, especially when they weren't in the Big 12 initially. But what I don't understand is like these smaller schools still have trouble getting ranked even when they're in those big conferences. Do you think like yeah, and I feel as if I'm going to get a very obvious answer from this, but I still want to hear your opinion about this. Do you think just being a big school in general will probably get you a better odds of being ranked in general if you're unranked to start the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think just yeah, merely based off of conference for sure. Like, oh, they'll see somebody's in the SEC or the Big Ten. They'll definitely be like, yeah, we're gonna put them higher. But yeah, I think some of those Big 12 schools like Cincinnati. I mean, I think Big Cincinnati's now first in the Big 12 after this week. Yeah, they had a big win against Iowa State and
UCF.
UCF this weekend. Yeah, uh, but yeah, I think yeah, definitely just being in a big conference helps for sure. Just because you know who you're going against week in and week out, and they think, oh, these big schools are going to have the best recruits and best recruiting classes, so that they're going to put us higher, I guess, in the preseason for sure.
Yeah, which is understandable, but it's just like you also have to understand like all that can fall apart. Like you should be like I'd say when it comes to preseason rankings, you have to basically go off of what you see and not only spring ball, but what also
Mhm.
you see during preseason practices. Like it shouldn't just be based off of recruitment rankings, I feel
Yeah, I
like,
agree for
because
sure.
things can
Definitely.
change so quick, so
Right.
quick.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Um, but I'd say, like, do you think scheduling for Kentucky, like, do you think, like, if y'all had, like, an easy schedule to start off with and you guys got hot, do you think you could really, like, just, like, possibly pummel, like, a bigger school in the SEC? Like, maybe somebody like Alabama, you could pull off, like, an upset or something like that. And then, like, maybe during, like, the Tennessee rivalry game and all that sort of stuff, you can actually put, like, you could pull something big off of just, like, a hot streak itself? Or do you think it has to be just, like, not just momentum, but just like the fact that the team is actually just everything's all coming together as a team schematically.
Yeah, I think no, for sure. I think, dude, every single week we believe that we're gonna go out there and win, and that's the mentality you have to have. Um, and no, we have a good squad. We have a ton of talented players and good coaches, and every week we prepare like we're gonna win, and we think we can win. I mean, those guys are just on another SEC team. It might be maybe a more historic or bigger football program, but we still got the guys, and we still got Big Blue Nation in our corner, and we got the support of the state and everything. And so, yeah, I think we every single game, we think we're gonna win, and we feel like we'll prepare the way. I mean, we will prepare the way to win, and be confident going into the game. And if we win or we don't, it starts with the preparation in the beginning of the week. But yeah, we don't ever go into a game saying like, oh, they're Georgia or oh, it's Bama, like they're gonna win, or we don't have a chance. I mean, every single game, anything can happen in the SEC.
Yeah, because I mean, anything could happen. Georgia might think might think too much of themselves. They might be coming off of a big win themselves and all that sort of stuff, and they might just go into a trap game against somebody like Mississippi State. I wouldn't say Vanderbilt this season. They're doing pretty well so far,
Yeah,
but
Diego and Stowers, those guys got it going down there in Nashville.
yeah, I'd say this is the best Vandy's looked in years. I'm pretty sure they went off on a hot streak. I think they went 3-0, I think 2 years ago, and then they started losing games. But I'd say like people started seeing that there was actual potential for Vin to actually go on a long run. And I now see what they were talking about, especially with what Vandy's doing. Even though they lost, against Bama and all that sort of stuff, but I just feel as if they just probably won't be given much of a chance after the fact that like they lose to somebody big like that.
Hmm.
And I'd say it's probably going to take them a while just to climb back up, especially after something like that happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Vandy no, definitely changed. Their program has been changed when they got the new coaching staff, and then I mean I think Diego's a heck of a player. He came in last year when we played him and played a good game against us at home and they beat us. And then Stour is just probably Eli Stowers best tight end in the country, probably, arguably, first round draft pick. So I think, yeah, they definitely have changed the moto down there in Nashville, and it even if any week in the SEC, it doesn't matter who you play. It could be Vandy on one of their off years, like they had in years before the new staff got there. I just think any given weekend, you got to prepare well and you got to fight hard and anything can happen. So, because there's so much talent in the league. So, I just don't think you can take any game in the league for granted.
Yeah, I'd say I back that up with like also the fact that like there's other players too. Like, they may not like show the stats of like them actually performing well, but like once you see them in game and all that sort of stuff, you can tell that they're like putting in the work. I'd say like I'll obviously be like maybe glazing it a little bit, but I'd say Justin definitely because he might not have the stats overall, but what he does in order to get you guys in the end zone is absolutely diabolical. Um,
You talking about Caddis?
yeah,
Josh, yeah, Josh.
Josh.
His
It's,
brother's Justin, yeah.
yeah, it's my bad. I mixed up between the two.
No, yeah, for sure.
Because I
They
know
look
they
like
both
alike.
play tight end currently, and
Yeah,
it's
they do. Yep.
I swear if Tucker watches this, he's gonna immediately chew me out after
The
this.
boy Char.
Oh man. He had like, we used to be really good 2K partners and all that sort of stuff,
Oh,
but
really?
that dude, he just got so sick and tired of it that he just quit immediately off the rip. And I asked him once, and he was just like, maybe.
Yeah,
I'm
you
thinking
guys
about
used to
it.
play 2K a lot.
Yeah, we played 2K23. We had a down year in 24, and then we really ran it up in 25. I didn't really have a massive build because like I normally played Park and that was it. I just really didn't see that much of a use actually playing the game. Offline at least. But now in 2K26, I'm already at 97 in my first build. I'm just waiting for Tucker to get on.
Dude, I hear all my buddies and a lot of the guys on the team always talking about 2K and their guys are ranked like 90 whatever. And dude, I never like I used to play 2K growing up all the time, but dude, over the last really ever since I got to college, probably my senior year of high school, I just haven't had the time to play video games. But I feel like, dude, I still loved playing 2K growing up for sure.
Yeah, I'd say like the thing about like video games and all that sort of stuff, and like I don't even play video games as much as I used to. I've been mainly either A working out, B playing basketball and just the rec center, all that sort of stuff, or like I'm out with friends. Like
Mm-hmm.
there will be times where I may spend like an hour or two, or I might spend like a decent bit of time during the weekend and all that sort of stuff playing video games and all that and stuff. But that's mainly because I don't really have anything else going on in my life. I'm just like I need space to fill with the
Right.
day and all that sort of stuff. I'd
Mm-hmm.
say I'm mostly just like chilling and watching, new series that come up on like different streaming platforms that,
What you watching these days? You got any shows for me? I'm always looking for something to watch.
I'd say have you seen the new Chad Powers series?
Oh, with what's his
Um,
name? Glenn Powell. Is it Glenn Powell? Yeah,
yeah, Glenn Powell.
that's
I
his.
saw
It's about.
the
It's just
most
like a football
recent.
series.
Yeah, it's a football series. It literally goes off of what Eli
Oh wait,
Manning.
I have a
Uh,
crazy story about this actually. I forgot. But so do you know the dad in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the
oh
actor?
yeah,
Do you
I knew
know?
that door had a lock on it, and everybody was thinking I was losing my mind.
Yes, him, Mr. Halfley or whatever. So what do you know? Isn't he like the coach
He's
or
the
something?
coach. He's the head coach.
So he's the coach in the new Chad Power series. This is funny because he was at our practice last year for like I think like 3 days. And I kept so like I come into one of our team meetings on like a Monday and I was like I was like doing a double take a couple times. He's sitting like literally 2 seats to the left of me. And I'm like, who like is this the diary of the Wimpy Kid? Like, is this him? Is this the
Is this
dad?
Hank Heffley? Like,
And then I don't know. And then so I was like, oh, I'm tripping. So I go to practice and nothing said of it. And then the next day I come back and he's there again. And then and then he's watching practice. And then after practice, coach is like, oh yeah, no, this is whatever his name is. This is the actor. I don't know. I don't actually know his name his real name off the top of my head. But yeah,
I can't
he
either.
I guess he shadowed our practices and like how we do things in preparation for the show. That's actually crazy that you said that.
He, you could probably say like he was basically like Drake in that one photo of him basically in the film room for
Oh
basketball
yeah,
team.
with Kentucky basketball, dude. No, yeah,
Like,
that's
but this
so
is a
funny.
part of the team.
Yeah, no, he was. He
Oh
was
my
just
Lord.
I think he was like trying to like see how like the coaches like operated so like he could like put that into his role in the
Yeah,
Chad
honestly,
Power series with Glenn Powell.
that's super smart, honestly. Like
Oh,
I
for
what do you
sure.
even think about that? I'd say like they with what they play into the series, like they have like the old ESPN score bugs and all that sort of stuff to where
Oh,
they could
really?
actually like where it's like actually like dated to where you actually know what like time frame it is in. Like it's
But
like
it's a pretty
the
good show. Is it what is it like is it college football? Is it high school? Like
it's
what's
college
kind of the
football, and basically like the Oregon QB basically walks on to after like he goes under disguise and he becomes this new alter ego as Chad Powers and all that sort of stuff,
okay.
and he basically walks on to I think Southern Georgia State is what it's called,
Okay, the show,
the
yeah.
Catfish, and he basically like he tries to like relit like he tries to redo because he was like a bad influence to kids and all that sort of stuff, and he was just like a really toxic person as
Okay.
a football player when he was playing for Oregon in the trailer, and
Oh,
that's
okay,
what he
nice.
basically is trying to do. I like episodes are coming out every single week. I highly suggest you watch it. I swear, like I sat down to watch it. I hated
I
the
definitely
ads that
will.
Hulu was giving me, but
Oh, it's on
it's
Hulu? Is what's it on Hulu
yeah,
or Netflix?
it's on Hulu,
Okay.
but it's definitely a must watch.
Oh, nice.
You can. Do you have like a Spotify?
I do. Yeah, yeah. Spotify, like for music. Yeah.
The thing about if you have a student account hooked up to Spotify and all that sort of stuff, you can actually get Hulu with ads for free.
Really?
Dead
Okay,
serious.
nice.
That's how I'm basically watching it right now.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna do that for sure.
Yeah. I'd say there is so many like just sports shows that I just love watching. Like I the amount of like video clips like you see on Instagram and TikTok of like that one basketball movie where I'm pretty sure Terry Crew or no, Samuel L. Jackson was like the high school basketball coach. I can't
Yeah.
remember the
What's that
name.
series called?
What is
Like,
it coach something. I'm pretty sure it's like free on YouTube with like ads and
no.
stuff.
What is that called? I know I've seen it before. I can't remember. Coach.
Coach Smith, Coach. That doesn't
Yeah.
sound like it's ringing a bell.
No.
It,
It's Coach Carter.
oh yeah, Coach Carter.
I
Um,
believe that's what it's called. I think so. That's just what came to my mind.
but you know how you met the dude from Diary of a Wimpy Kid? I
Yeah,
was when I was managing for my senior year, I know I can't remember if you came up for one of the games or not, but our senior night, before I went on to do my halftime show uh for mid game and all that sort of stuff for halftime, um I looked to my right, I'm pretty sure, as I'm like getting water, as I'm like refilling the waters for everyone. Obviously, Wasser's like heckling me and all that sort of stuff. He's like, man, get your ass and start filling up the damn bottles. I look to my right, and I see Zach Taylor just in the corner of like where the door is supposed to be. And I'm just like,
really. I
and
remember.
like, and the thing about it was like, my dad's a huge Zach Taylor fan, and he looks over, he sees what I'm looking at, and he's just like, you saw Zach Taylor?
I remember. Yeah, he comes to a lot of our football games because I remember I returned a punt for a touchdown one time, my senior year, and I was like I scored it, and then I was running off the sideline this way, and I passed him. He gave me a little fist bump on the way back to the bench. So yeah, I think he's a big Saint. I think he just like supports the school, and I think he might be having a kid maybe going there. I'm not sure.
You know what? It's the perfect school to go to,
His
especially for
son, his
football.
son was in my he came to the football camp a couple years back, and I was like, one of the coaches of the team. His son was in my group or my team or whatever. So yeah, I think he definitely is over there.
Yeah, that's absolutely not. I know he obviously coached for UC, so I'm guessing he obviously stayed in Cincinnati for a lot of it, even though I'm pretty sure he was an assistant coach with either was it Sean McDermott or Sean McVay? Because I can't remember.
McVay. That's the
Yeah,
Miami Red Hawk
McVay.
alumni right there.
Yeah, Miami Red Hawk alumni. I'd say like he probably found that San X football is kind of a big deal. Like,
Yeah,
Mueller might be able to win games, but you know who really can win championships?
right. I
Us,
think. Well,
us.
actually, I think him and remember he shouted out Coach Speck in an interview last year. I don't
I
know if
do
you
remember
remember
that.
that.
Was it the Hall of Fame induction ceremony or something like
Well,
that?
he shouted like a quote out that Coach Speck had said or something that they were on the phone together, and he said that in one of his like post game interviews. So I think him and Coach Speck might be friends.
That might be the reason why you see him at so many different athletic events
Yeah,
for St.
yeah, I think
X.
they might
That
be
that
friends. I think they go back.
That's absolutely nuts, honestly. I'm glad I did get to, meet Zach Taylor. Um, Hopefully I might be able to interview him, it might be a pretty good opportunity.
That's a great goal for sure.
Yeah. Or Joey B. Like my friends were talking about who are you gonna interview next? And I was just like, oh, I'm gonna interview one of my friends and all that sort of stuff. And I'm gonna interview somebody else after this. And he was just like, you should be going for Tom Brady, you should be going for Joe Burrow. I'm just like, not a chance in hell.
I mean, yeah, I think no, those are awesome goals, but you also have to work your way up, and
Yeah. That's exactly what I told him too. I was just like, I
yeah,
gotta start small, man. Like, where's like my starting point for you guys? Like, seriously.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Some of the
Um,
biggest podcasters in the world, they started small.
Sooner or later you're gonna see me on the Pat McAfee show. And I'm gonna be talking about how good the Colts were, just waving the heck out of them.
That's funny.
Um, but I'd say that just sports in general has just like brought like as a kid, I wasn't too much into sports, but as I grew older I saw myself like with video games especially. Like I did not like the fact that I was sitting in my room all day at the time, and I was just like I gotta be better with myself, and I gotta improve myself just like physically and mentally. Like I gotta put myself in a more positive space. So I decided to like obviously get a little bit closer with God, especially when I started at St. X and all that sort of stuff, because I had really not touched the Bible that much. Like I looked at the action comic Bible that my mom gave me when she
That's a
was
good one.
basically working at the Greek Orthodox Church for like a Greek festival and all that sort of stuff. But I had really not like dug into it, and so everything changed for me when I entered high school. And I'd say like sports is definitely one of the most like beneficial is like one of the most beneficial activities that like anybody can get into, because there's so many ways to socialize, there's so many ways to improve yourself in general. And I'd
Hmm.
say like if anybody um wants to join sports, by all means do it. Don't let like, obviously uh people discourage you over, especially like if you can't make a team or anything like that. Like you got so many other opportunities like intramurals and all that sort of stuff. But
Hmm.
I'd say in general, what you're doing right now and like obviously promoting like your faith on Instagram and all that sort of stuff, I'd say is like a really positive thing. Like I've never seen somebody like at least promote. I'm not sure if it was like a club, if it's like a club or if it's a just something that you usually go to every single week. But I see like your Instagram posts about how you basically connect closer to God with other people and all that sort of stuff while you also do football. And I'd say that's really awesome.
Yeah, no, it's and that I just want to say that's awesome that sports definitely connects everybody, and then you're saying your faith, dude, that's huge. Just getting into the Bible and really just developing a relationship with Jesus. But I think yeah, so what you might have seen on my Instagram is called UKFCA. So
Yeah.
uh, UK Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We meet every Monday night. Usually at the in the football team room, it's a ton of athletes from UK. Anyone who wants to be there, swimmers, dance team. We got a ton of men's basketball players in there this year. Actually, women's basketball players. We have rifle. We have people from the spike ball club team. Like we have everybody, football players, and it's just a really great opportunity once a week just to come together, to meet new people, and then also just to connect with everybody. And our leader, his name is Aaron Hogue. He runs the FCA for UK and most of the Kentucky area, and he's also our team chaplain for football. He does chapel for us before games in the hotels. And dude, it's a great group and it's a great community because dude, they really have helped me in my faith and develop a relationship with the Lord. And I think that's just very important when going through sports. You can't do it alone, especially with with the schedule college athletes have, and really any athlete in general. So I think it's huge.
I totally agree. It's I when I was interviewing I he didn't exactly say it, but like when I was looking over like past episodes of like what Rocky Boyman was doing on his radio show, he would always like start with like the Lord and how like it's always a great day to, you know, be alive. It's always a great day to basically be able to do what he gets to do. And it's I feel as if we aren't as appreciative as we should be. At least a lot of us are of the opportunities that we get in life. And I'd say a lot of that has to do with like God basically setting us up for success and helping us carve the way along with like our personal choices in life.
Yeah, no, for sure. And no, I think definitely coming to Kentucky and being plugged into this group. At first I was like, oh, I want to go just to meet people and it's cool to see all the other athletes. But like once I really dove deeper and it definitely brought me closer to my faith. Like I started, I really wanted to start reading the Bible more and actually like developing a relationship with Jesus and start getting into prayer more and just really turning away from sin. Obviously, I'm not perfect and I do fall into sin like we all do, but like it's just like it's more you need to be more it's more intentional acts now. Like, okay, I understand what is written, I understand the faith, and it's like now am I gonna choose to continue to do my old ways and fall into sinful ways, or am I gonna honor the Lord and do what's right? And I think there's really you deal with those decisions every single day of your life, whether it's like, yo, I don't feel like or you feel like doing something that's sinful and you fall into sin, or you just fight it because like what God has sacrificed and what Jesus sacrificed and paid for you on the cross, and like that's bigger than any sin you've ever had. So I think that's just yeah, keep developing your faith, and it's really big for athletes for sure.
Absolutely. I totally agree with it. It's obviously amazing on what people are basically coming up with in order to get closer to their faith. And I'd say in general, if you want to improve your faith, find opportunities to do so. There's obviously places, people, and just communities in general that are able to help you and like
Sure.
just uh improve like your faith in God and or whoever you do believe in, not everybody might believe in God. Some people might believe in, different religions and all that sort of stuff, but you do you and that's what's best for uh yourself. Um, but yeah.
Yes, sure.
But Andrew, I'd say that that was definitely a good place to wrap up. I want to thank you for obviously coming on, talking about college, past high school experiences, and just like the people with like the people you've obviously met, and just in general, just obviously, getting to talk to you once again after such a long time is just
Sure.
honestly a blessing in and of itself.
Definitely.
And
Yep.
you know what? I'm gonna try and hold up my deal that I made with you at the end of high school, before you graduated. At least coming to a Kentucky football game and rooting you on and all that sort of stuff. But
Definitely.
I'm definitely going to do that. So I got to make sure that I'm in a super uh, stable place with like college and all that sort of stuff, and
Right.
I've already got a bunch of stuff lined up for because I'm even going to Chicago for a Bulls game in order for like to grow my internships and all that sort of stuff. Like
Oh,
our entire
nice.
club meeting, yeah, the club meeting I did text you about, I actually it's a super big opportunity. I'd say like it's the first time I've ever been to Chicago. It's definitely not the first time my family's been, but personally for me, like it's a
Hmm.
really big city, and I'd say it's a really good way for me to get connections, especially with
Definitely,
the
bro.
people that work with like the Chicago Bulls. I'm pretty sure they're going to try and get connections with Chicago Blackhawks too.
I gotta say, I just gotta end it on one more thing too. But my best art. This is, I think, me and yours greatest high school memory is when we were in, um, we were in the cafeteria or that room just around the cafeteria. I think you
Oh
know where
my
this
God,
is
I know
going.
what you're gonna bring
And it was
up.
like it was senior week, and I was a
Yeah.
senior. I was a senior, and you were a junior, and we all the parents were in there, and the five. I think it was the five or however many seniors we had. We were lined up on the tables, and each one of the players was coming up to talk about, you know, each one of the younger guys was coming to talk up about a senior, kind of give a little speech about them or how they've impacted their life or kind of what they've done, and then everyone stopped talking and you get up and everyone's wondering, oh, who's Rowan gonna pick? And Rowan comes right behind me, puts his hand on my shoulder, and starts saying, starts saying really good things, really cool things about me and how you're like, I play the point guard more and I don't just shoot the three like Donovan. Um, but dude, that had to be one of the highlights of my year that year. So I just wanted to say that was awesome.
You left out one key detail
Huh?
when I said I really like how I basically you and I had the same play style.
Right. The play style, that was great. I love that. That
You
was
know,
sweet.
I'd say and like a lot of people laughed at that, but I like what I meant to say, and I feel like what a lot of people didn't get was like we're a lot more conservative with the ball rather than just like
Right.
shooting it.
No,
Like
I
we're
completely
more or less
understood what
pass
you were
first
saying.
and all that sort of stuff. Like
Right.
I'd say like it was I was either going to pick it was either going to be it was a tie between Towns or you
Right.
because Towns was somebody who was underappreciated. He was, back end of the bench, but obviously when he got minutes, he obviously he went off when he got the chance to. And I'd
Hmm.
say like he obviously he was when he was in the spotlight, he obviously thrived in every single moment of it.
Hmm.
Um, and I'd say you especially when it comes to the end of high school, I'd say like and I obviously mentioned in that speech, like you being a three-sport athlete,
I
it
remember
was
you.
like insane. Like
Right.
I don't know how how in the Lord's name you were able to do football, basketball, and then switch all the way to baseball at the end of it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know how you were able to pull that all together, but that is just insane to me.
Yeah. No, dude, yeah, that speech, dude, I remember, dude, I have it saved in my, obviously there's a video of it. Have you ever seen the video?
I've never seen the video. The one video I remember having saved was when Dom had the game-winning shot against the South.
So when you went up to talk about me, for what we're talking about here on that senior night, I guess maybe one of the moms got a video of it and had sent it to me. So I got to send you that, but I think she
Oh yeah.
recorded most of it, but it came back up in my memories, my Snapchat memories a couple weeks ago. And I was like, dude. Yeah, I mean that was a great memory. So I
Dude,
appreciated that
I swear there were multiple times where your dad walked up to me and was just like I came back from service and he was just like, dude, awesome speech, man. Like you rocked it there. And I was just like, thank you.
for sure, man. That was
Like it
great.
was such a random interaction with him, but like honestly, like I definitely knew that like I grew a connection with your dad as and like just your family in general. Like they're awesome people, honestly.
Yeah,
But
for
the
sure.
one
No,
thing I
it was great, dude.
the one thing I finally did was I finally went to group meals. I finally went to group meals our senior year because
Finally,
honestly,
yeah.
I was so shy around it and all that sort of stuff. But I was just like, you know what? I might as well do this. I'm a senior, and there was Adam and then there was Tyler always going to it. And I was just like, it'd be stupid for the one senior manager to just not show up to these.
Like,
Like
no, that's
those,
good. I'm glad you went.
the yeah, those opportunities just gave me a better opportunity to socialize, especially outside of just like practice in general or in
Yes, sir.
games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah. Andrew, I want to thank you again for coming on to my second episode of Rowan Sports Lounge. And ladies and gentlemen, that'll be all for right now. And I will let everybody know who my next guest is going to be. I will definitely let Andrew know, just so he has an idea of because I already have somebody determined, and I already have somebody that wants to get on the podcast. But thank you all so much for watching.
Alrighty.